Hey, what's up, everybody? It feels good to be back. I've been pretty busy lately taking care of stuff around the shop, but it feels good to be back today. I'm doing a number two ball fade with hooks on the sideburns. Remember to be thorough with your haircuts, and that's what will separate a good barber from an average barber is how much effort and how thorough you go through the steps and how careful you are to make sure you get everything cut well. So right now I'm taking down the top with a number two, and I'm being thorough with it, and I'm going over the top constantly, and I'm checking with my eyes, and I'm also listening with my ears to make sure that I get everything. It's nothing like going home after a haircut and you see little hair still sticking up. It just ruins the haircut a little bit. So make sure you're thorough with it, and you take your time to make sure you cut everything. And make sure you brush down the client. You don't want them sitting there with hair in their face, and it's very uncomfortable. Right now what I'm doing is I'm setting the starting point of the bald line, and I usually set it about at the ears right here on top of the ear, because from there now I can work out towards the sideburns and also back towards the back of the head. I just feel that it's safer to set your starting point in the middle of the head, because if you set it on the side by the sideburns, and if you mess up, you could either take it too high, and so I feel like it's safer if you just set it by the ears. And right now what I'm doing is I'm creating the hooks. You want to leave that area with hair so that there's still blending involved and that it's not completely bald, because if it's bald, then you can't line them up with the hooks. You leave some hair so that you can blend that spot out just enough so that you can see the lineup when you do line it up. Alright, so I create that hook, and now it's pretty much back to normal. That line will continue all the way to the back of the head. Alright, and you do it halfway so that you don't mess up. You do it halfway on one side, and then you do it on the other side. Right here, you do it on the other side, and then you meet it in the back. This way you prevent errors of taking the line too high. If you do it continuously from one side, continuously all the way to the other side, chances are it's not going to be level and it's not going to be even. So to protect it against that error, you take it halfway to the back of the head, and you repeat it on the other side, and you meet it in the back of the head. Alright, and you take your time. The straighter you create this line, the more even the blend will look. Okay, so right now I'm just creating the initial line, but I'll take my time to make sure I even everything out, hit all the corners, and make sure everything's nice and rounded. And after you've done that, I'm taking down the little hair with the shaver, the Philips Norelco. The 5-star shaver is pretty popular. A lot of barbers do use it, but I feel like it creates guidelines that's very hard to blend out. With the Norelcos, you can actually blend with it. And so right now I'm continue using the magic clips with no guards, all the way closed. When I created the line, I kind of dug in pretty deep to create the line, and right now I'm just flicking out with the wrist, which will create that blend, and it's still the all the way closed. All right, but it's just the flick in the wrist will create that blend. So I blend from one side, do it to the other side, then I open up the lever about a quarter of the way, and I'm going up with the blend about a quarter of an inch higher. And I do one side over to the other side, and then from the other side I do it back to the one side. Alright, and then you're following the line that you created. Now after you get the blending all the way open with the lever, brush it down, because sometimes there's hair still stuck on the skin that will give the illusion of not being blend well. So you're actually not working with a true canvas. So brush down the hair after you cut it so you can see what you're actually working with. And right now I'm using the half guard, the 1/16 guard, or the 0 guard, whatever you want to call it. And as I'm blending, I'm straightening out the line that used to be a curve right there. I'm slowly straightening it out. All right, and I'm taking everything up a quarter of an inch as I'm blending, but slowly that line will be straightened out. All right, and it's the same method from one side to the other side, a quarter of an inch up, and you open the lever a quarter of an inch, a quarter of the lever every way. Okay, and it's the same step over and over and over. You have to kind of look at the room that you're working with the the shape of the head. You have to kind of gauge it with your eyes as to how high you should blend. All right, and again, after you fade out with the guards, you brush it down to see if there's mistakes, and either you move on or you do some touch-up work. After every guard, when you blend, brush it and check for errors, check for dark spots. If there are none, continue on to the next clip, the guards. If there are little dark spots, then you go back and you touch up before you move on. This way you know what the levels are. Meaning I know that I don't have to use a 1 because it's only as high as a half guard right now. So I can continue to use the half guard but close it up and fix all the mistakes. I know I don't have to use the 1 because I haven't used it yet. Alright, so I like to blend one guard at a time and fix the errors one guard at a time instead of fading the whole haircut and then coming back at the end to do touch-up work. It's a little difficult that way because you forget at where the dark spot is. You don't know if you use a number 1 at that point or a half guard or whatever guard. So this way you know what guard you just used. And so after the 1 guard, now I'm using, this is the 1.5 guard at the very crown of the head. And remember, on top of the head is the number 2 guard. Okay, so you should be able to blend out the fade with the 1.5 guard without even opening it, depending on how well you flick out the hair when you're fading. You should be able to blend it out all the way without even opening the clippers. Alright, remember to comb the hair, brush your hair, and earlier when I was talking about being thorough, this is what I mean. Like, I'm just going again over the top to make sure I got everything with the number 2 guard, and just putting in that extra effort, the extra work to make sure the haircut come out as nice as possible, checking the background. Okay, so now I believe it's time for the lineup, and with the lineup, which I believe is the most important part of the haircut. So right now I'm setting my starting point, and I usually set my starting point right in the middle of the head. Right now I'm face to face with the client, and I'm setting my starting point, and from that starting point I'm gonna take it to the side of the head that I feel is the hairline is higher, and in this case to the left. So I'm taking it to the left, and if you notice, he has a little light spot right there. Not really a bald spot, but a light spot. So in this case, I had to imagine a line going through that spot. And after you continue and you imagine the imaginary line, and you're done with the lineup, it will look filled in. Okay? So keep your eyes on the starting point. The only thing moving is your hand and the clipper, back and forth, left and right. But your eyes and your face is still on the starting point. All right, because if you're moving your body with the clipper, then your starting point, your guide point is shifted and it changes, and that sometimes can make your lineup crooked. So you keep your eyes and your face with the starting point, and you don't lose track of where the starting point is. From there, you can gauge how to line up the forehead and keep it straight. And right here, I'm doing the hooks, and what I'm doing is I'm using just the corner of the liners, just the very corner, and I'm dabbing it a little bit at a time. You have to visualize what the hook will look like, and it will come to you. You will see the hook pop out when you do little steps at a time. I'm just dab and drag, dab and drag, dab and drag until I see the line more clearly. And from there you can make adjustment. You know, you can tighten up a little bit, you can curve it a little more. You see it slowly coming to life, a little bit at a time. Okay, we're using just the corner of the detailers, a little bit at a time. You want to hold your client's head with your other hand just to stabilize them, keep them in place. You should be extra careful when you're doing the lineup, you know, so you want them to be extra still, you know. And again, to do the other side, I'm back to the starting point again. I'm face to face with the client. Start right in the middle, and from the middle, you work out to the other side. And that's one way, that's one method I use to try to keep my lineup as straight as I possibly can. Don't move your body with the clipper because it throws off your starting point. Stay in one spot and only your hands are moving, okay? And if you notice, I'm holding the detailer's wire with my other hand just to help me stabilize the detailer. Yeah. Using the corner at the corner of the hairline. Alright. And boom, there's my lineup. And right now what I'm doing is I'm measuring the other side, the height, how high the corner of the hooks are. So I'm looking at one side and I'm checking it and I'm gauging it with the clipper and I'm just setting a little mark of reference to know where to start at. So just lightly right there, and from there it's the same thing. You're using the corner of the detailer, one step at a time. I'm just dab, 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 dab and drag kind of thing. You know, a little bit at a time until you can visualize the hooks. It will come to you. It will appear to you, and you will see it. And there it is. There's the hook of the lineup. Alright, so the job of the detailer is to create the outline of the lineup, and then the job of the razor is to clean it up and make it look sharp. You know, when you're using the razor, make sure you stretch the skin as tight as you can, because when the skin is loose, you can cut them. You know, so keep the skin tight. And there it is, you guys, number 2 ball fade with hooks. Alright, feels good to be back. I have Ronnie and Rob coming up with some tutorial videos. These guys are excellent barbers from the shop also. Love you, talk to you later.